Okay guys, so today I am going to do a video on how to complete the square. This is the add maths way, right? Now remember, when we completed the square, we'd be given a quadratic in the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, right? Where a, b and c are constants, right? So I will post a document with the questions that I am about to do. The first question is from the 2013 Add Maths past paper, right? Number 2, part A. We were given, let f of x be equal to 3x squared plus 6x minus 1. So the first part, they ask us to express the function f of x in the form a x plus h squared plus k, where a, h and k are constants, right? So the first thing that we are about to do, we want to factorize this 3 from the first two terms, right? So we take out 3. We will get x squared plus 2x. 3 into 6x will give us 2x, right? And if we multiply this back, 3 by x squared we get 3x squared. 3 by 2x we get 6x. The minus 1 goes back outside. The second thing that we want to do is add half of this this constant, and we square that, right? So we have 3x squared plus 2x. Then we want to add half of this. So half of the constant, which is 2, is 1. So we want to add 1, then we square that. Close the brackets. Our minus 1 goes back outside. Now what we did inside here was we add 1 squared. What we want to do outside is minus the same 1 squared. Then the next thing is to multiply by what we factored out. So we'll be multiplying by 3 outside. Okay? You can put all of this equal to 0, right? Actually we don't need to, because they gave us the form, this is the form A. This is not equal to 0, so we could just leave it like that. The next thing we want to do now is the square terms. We want to put this in a bracket by itself, right? So we'd have x plus 1. Now notice, if this was a negative here, if this was a negative, we would have a negative inside here, and hence this sign here would have been negative, right? And the square goes outside. Now reason being for this is a side note, right? X plus 1, we know that x plus 1 squared is the same thing as x plus 1 times x plus 1. Now for those of you who don't understand this here, let me just break it down a little further, right? Just like if we'd have 4 squared, this is the same thing as 4 by 4. X squared is the same thing as x times x. So x plus 1 squared is the same thing as x plus 1 by x plus 1. And if we expand this, x by x will give us x squared. X by 1 is x. 1 by x is x. And then 1 by 1 is 1. So which is x squared plus 2x plus 1. This is the same thing as this here. Also remember, if you're given x plus 1 squared, the easy way to remember this is square the first. So x squared will give us x squared. It's 2 times the product of what in the brackets. So it's 2 times x, which is 2x. 2x by 1 is 2x. And then we square the last, which is plus 1. So this is the same thing as this, which is the same thing as this, right? So that was our little side note there. Right, so we continuing from there, right? So the square terms, we just take them, put them in brackets. The sign would go with it as well, right? Now we want to simplify what is on the outside. So we have our minus 1 again. Minus 1 squared. So we have our minus sign. 1 squared will give us 1. Now notice that this 1 is in brackets and we're squaring it. But if it was negative 1, however, squared, this would have given us a positive number, because a negative by a negative would give us a positive, right? Notice the 1 is in brackets, so that's why we'll have a negative 1. Multiply by 3. In our next step, what we want to do is multiply this first, and then we will add the minus 1. So we're multiplying this here first. So we get 3 by x plus 1 squared minus 1. Now negative 1 by 3 will give us negative 3. So we have 3 by x plus 1 squared minus 4. This here is our quadratic in the form a times x plus h squared plus k. So from this now we could take out our a, h and k values, right? We could see clearly that our a would be 3, our h would be 1, and the value of k would not be positive but negative 4. Right? So this is it here in the AddMaths form. Now the second part, they ask us to state the value of f of x. Now we also know that f of x is also our y value, right? So what we want to do is, we know that the minimum point or maximum point is also called the turning point. Now just to recap, we would have a minimum point if the coefficient of x squared is positive, right? And we would have a maximum point if the coefficient of x squared is negative, right? Remember, our minimum graph goes this way, our maximum graph goes this way. Sorry, that's supposed to be something more like that, right? Now our turning point, the coordinates of that point is negative hk. So in this case, our turning point would be negative 1, k, which is negative 4. This here is our turning point or our minimum point, right? So back to the question, they say state the minimum value of f of x. Now, once we have a point, we always know that it is a coordinate in the form xy, right? Now we said that our minimum value of f of x is also our y value. So therefore for part 2, the minimum value of f of x would be negative 4. So part 2, the minimum value is negative 4. And then part 3, they want to determine the value of x for which f of x is a minimum. So if f of x is a minimum, we already know that is a minimum point. They just want the x value, which is negative 1. This would have been our part 1, sorry. Right? Now, I hope this clear up any confusion that you may have. I will do the 2014 paper next, right? Okay. Just erase this. Okay, good. So with this one here, we could see that our coefficient of x squared is negative. Perfect example. So 2014 question 2 part A. We given that f of x is equal to negative 2x squared minus 12x minus 9. Right? We wanna, for the first part, we wanna express f of x in the form k plus a x plus h squared. Okay, good. Now this one is a little different, right? Before we had a x plus h squared plus k, right? Now what I did is just take the k and put it in front. So let us start to complete the square here. We have negative 2x squared minus 12x minus 9. First things first, we want to factor the coefficient of x squared, which is negative 2. So negative 2 into this is just 1, so we just get back x squared. Negative 2 into this would give us positive 6. Sorry, positive 6x. Then our minus 9 goes outside. Now negative 2 by x squared will give us back negative 2x squared. And negative 2 by 6x will give us negative 12x. Next step is to add half of this and square it. So we'd have minus 2x squared plus 6x plus half of 6 is 3. We square that, close brackets. Our minus 9 goes back outside. What we add inside, we want to minus outside. So we'd have minus 3 squared, and then we multiply by what we factored, which was negative 2. Our next line is minus 2 what we have in bracket, what we have to be squared, we just put in that in brackets and square it all together, right? So we have x plus 3 squared minus 9 minus 3 squared will give us 9, and we multiply by -2. Next line, -2, x plus 3 squared minus 9. Now this here, -9 times -2 is positive 18. So we get -2 x plus 3 squared, -9 plus 18 will give us positive 9. Remember, this is in the form a x plus h squared plus k. What we want now is k plus a x plus h to be squared. So basically all we're going to do is take the 9 in front, so that we get, because this is our k value, right? So this 9 would now become in front here, which is 9 minus 2 x plus 3 squared. Now, do not freak out in the exam when you see it in this form. Just work it down normal, as you were accustomed, and then just take the k value and put it in front, whether it is negative or positive, just take the sign with it. So let me say this, our k value was supposed to be -9, just take the -9 in front here, right? The next thing, they want to state the maximum value of f of x. Now, if we look at our x squared here, the coefficient is negative, right? So immediately we know that we have a maximum point or a maximum turning point. So we want the maximum value. Let us find the turning point, which is the same thing as the maximum point. And we know that this is -hk. Now for our h value, we have that h is 3. So our -h would be -3. And our k value is 9. So this here is our maximum point. So the maximum value of f of x will be 9. Because remember, this is our x value, this is our y value. Y is the same thing as f of x. So 9 is the answer for part 2. And then for part 3, they say determine the value of x for which f of x is the maximum. So part 3, the answer will be -3. Right? Okay. Now we want to look at the 2015 paper. I will actually leave this one for you all to try, right? Let me just write down the question. Okay, so this was 2015. We had our f of x as being 3x squared minus 9x plus 4. They asked us to express f of x in the form a x plus b squared plus c, where a, b, and c are real numbers, right? Now, what we were doing all the time is a times x plus h squared plus k. So our b come like our h value and c come like our k value, right? And then they wanted the coordinates of the minimum point, so that would just be the turning point, -hk. In this case, it will be -bc, okay? Right, so the other one that I wanted to look at is the 2018 paper, right? So it was question 2a again, right? So part 1, given that g of x, so they changed the function now. Before it was f of x we was dealing with, now it's g of x, right? Same thing, don't let the g and the f confuse you, right? So we want to express this in the form a x plus h squared plus k, where a, h are constants. So let's do this part. The coefficient of this here is -1. So we'd have -1 x squared minus x, close the brackets, minus 3. Now -1 by x squared will give us back -x squared. -1 by -x will give us back a +1. Our -3 goes outside. So we have -1 x squared minus x. Then we add in now half the coefficient here. Now the coefficient here is -1. We know that -1 and -1x is the same thing, right? So our coefficient here is -1. So half of that would be -1/2. Right? Because a half plus a half is a whole, right? So a half of -1 is -1/2. We square that. Our -3 goes outside. Now what we add here, we will minus here. So we minus it now, -1/2 squared. Then we multiply by -1. Our next step is -1 x. Now notice, because inside here we have a negative number, the sign here will change from positive to negative, right? The examples we did before, they were all positive. So just be careful of that. Right? So we have our -3 minus. Now in brackets we have -1/2 squared. When we square a negative number, it will always be positive, right? And to square a fraction, you square the numerator. So -1 squared will give us +1. And I square the denominator. So 2 squared is 4. And then we multiply by -1. So we have -1 x minus 1/2 squared minus 3. Now -1/4 multiplied by -1 will just give us +1/4. So we have -1 x minus 1/2 squared minus 3 plus 1/4 will give us -2 3/4. Right? Then they said on the grid provided below, sketch the graph of g of x showing the maximum point and the y-intercept. Right? Okay. Alright, so they gave us a grid here. We had values 0, 1, 2. This is our x-axis. And then we had values going up here. Let me do this a little small. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, -2, -1, 1, 2, 3. No, my graph is not accurate, right? It's just a sketch. This here is our y-axis up here. Okay, so they want us to sketch showing the maximum point. We know that the maximum point is the turning point, which is -hk. Maximum because the coefficient again is negative. So our h value is actually -1/2. So -h would be -1/2, which would actually be +1/2. And our k value is -2 3/4. So this here is our maximum point, right? So this is our x again, this is our y. Do not mix it up and put y and then x, right? Now on our x-axis, which is this one here, we're looking for 1/2, which is somewhere around here estimated. Then -2 3/4 would be going down this way. So let me say at a point somewhere right here should be our 1/2, -2 3/4 point. The next thing that they wanted us to show is the y-intercept. Now the y-intercept is simply 0c. Now y-intercept just simply means where the graph would cut the y-axis. So our c value, remember our a is the coefficient of x squared, which is -1. Our b is the coefficient of x, which is +1. And our c is the constant, which is not 3 but -3. So therefore our y-intercept would be 0 - 3. So this is when x is 0, y will be 3. Now this is our x-axis, so x is 0 at this point, and our y is -3, would actually be at this point here. Right? Is a maximum graph, so we know that it will actually come from below, cut here, it will actually turn here and go back down. Sorry, I had to cut through here. And then just put for me that somewhere on the curve g of x is equal to -x² plus x minus 3. And that's it, that's simple. Now if they were to ask to plot your y-intercepts, let me just erase this here and write it. Now at the bottom there, our y-intercept was 0c. So the y-intercept is when x is 0. However, the x-intercepts, sometimes you would have 2 intercepts, sometimes you would have 1, right? It's normal for you to have 2, right? So if you get 2, then go ahead with it. If you work out and you get your 2x values as being the same value, then it's just one answer you already have, right? So the x-intercepts now would be when y is 0. So we'd have some value here, but y would be 0, and then another value and y is 0. Now to get your x-intercepts, all you simply do is solve this either by your method of factorization or the quadratic formula. Now you all should remember how to factorize. That's a common thing in maths, right? Just to recall, the quadratic formula is x is minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Yeah, so basically that's it for completing of the square. Alright. Thanks for watching. Be sure to share with your friends and subscribe to the channel, share the video. Okay, thank you.